If you can hear my voice, understand that I can't. This is a machine reading what I type. My name is Devin Reyes. I'm a systems technician at a regional flight data center outside Wichita. And I lost my hearing when I was 9. I'm telling you that first, before anything else, because it's the only reason I'm still able to speak to you. Whatever is happening tonight travels through sound. I don't know how yet. I only know that everyone around me who could hear it is gone, and I'm not. And the difference between us is a childhood fever and a pair of ears that stopped working 26 years ago. I'm typing into a public relay. My words go to a text-to-speech engine, and that engine pushes to every open civilian channel we can still reach. So if you're getting me through a car stereo, a scanner, a phone left on a kitchen counter, that's a computer talking, not me. I want that clear, because later I'm going to ask you to do things, and you need to trust that a person decided them, not a program. It's 3:14 in the morning. The center is quiet. I can feel the HVAC through the floor, which is how I know the building still has power. My 2 co-workers are on the far side of the glass. They stopped moving normally about 40 minutes ago. They are standing very still, facing the same direction. They are facing the emergency broadcast speaker in the corridor ceiling. I'm going to keep this record. I'm going to keep it as long as my hands work. Here is what I saw first. An hour ago, this was an ordinary shift. I work overnights because I like them. Less traffic, fewer people, and the deafness stops being a problem when almost nobody's talking anyway. My job is boring in the way you want a safety job to be boring. I watch racks of equipment that route flight data. And when a light goes amber, I find out why. Most nights, nothing goes amber. At 2:20, I logged a routine anomaly. A cluster of small aircraft over the Oklahoma line had stopped responding to controllers, not crashing. The transponders were fine, altitude steady, headings steady. They just weren't answering radio calls. That happens. Radios fail. Pilots doze on autopilot. We flag it and move on. By 2:35, it wasn't one cluster. It was every aircraft with an open cockpit mic below a certain altitude, spreading north like spilled water finding the low ground. I remember thinking it was a frequency problem, a bad uplink. I started running diagnostics because that is what you do. My co-worker Priya came over. She's a controller. And she does the thing hearing people do where they tilt their head at a speaker. She had one earbud in. She listens to news podcasts on breaks. I saw her face change. Not fear exactly. More like she'd heard her name called from another room and couldn't place the voice. She typed to me on the shared pad because she's kind and she always includes me. She wrote, "Do you hear that under the static?" I wrote back, "I can't hear anything, remember?" She smiled, a little embarrassed, and pulled the earbud out to listen better. That was her mistake. I know that now. I didn't know it then. I thought she was just being a person who can hear, in a world built for people who can hear, doing the ordinary thing of leaning toward a sound. 14 minutes later, she was standing in the corridor, facing the ceiling speaker, not blinking. I need to back up and tell it in order. At 2:41, the emergency alert system triggered. I felt it before I understood it. The overhead lights stuttered the way they do when the building's alert relay grabs priority power. Tais, and every screen in the room threw up the same gray banner. National Periodic Test, do not be alarmed. But it wasn't a scheduled test. I checked the schedule. There was no test tonight. The banner stayed up for 6 seconds and cleared. Standard. What wasn't standard was that the audio kept going after the banner cleared. I couldn't hear it. But I could see it. I have a spectral monitor on one of my screens, a visual readout of the audio the alert system is pushing. because part of my job is confirming the emergency channels are broadcasting clean. It's just a graph. Green lines dancing to sound I'll never experience. The test tone should have been a flat block of noise, 2 seconds, gone. Instead, the graph showed a pattern I'd never seen. Not a tone, a structure. It repeated a long shape, then 3 short shapes, then a fall, then the long shape again. Rhythmic, almost like speech, but too even to be speech. Too clean. It cycled every 11 seconds, and it did not stop. I want to be precise, because precision is the only thing I have left. It did not sound like anything to me. It looked like a heartbeat drawn by someone who had heard about heartbeats, but never felt one. Priya was 3 feet away with her earbud back in. I tapped the desk to get her attention. She didn't turn. I waved. Nothing. I rolled my chair over and touched her shoulder, and she looked at me the way you look at furniture you're about to walk around. Then she stood up, took her earbud out, set it down very gently, and walked into the corridor toward the ceiling speaker. She has not moved from there since. The first thing I did was assume I was wrong. That's not modesty. That's training. When something impossible shows up on one screen, the screen is lying before the world is. So I did what I always do. I pulled data from somewhere else to check my somewhere. I have read-only access to a wide net of feeds, weather radio, marine bands, the aviation channels, a few public safety streams that a technician in my seat is allowed to monitor for interference. All of them carry audio. All of them push a spectral graph, if you ask nicely. I asked all of them at once. Every single feed carrying live audio showed the same shape. The long, the 3 short, the fall, the long. 11-second cycle. Locked in phase across channels that have nothing to do with each other. That don't share hardware. That couldn't be synchronized by any normal fault because they don't touch. Weather radio out of Topeka. The shape. Marine band relayed from a Gulf buoy 900 miles away. The shape, same phase, same second. A police dispatch stream in Denver that some hobbyist rebroadcasts online. The shape. That's when the fear arrived. And it arrived as a specific thought, not a feeling. The thought was, this is not coming through the wires. If it were a hacked signal, a virus in the alert system, the feeds would drift out of phase. Distance would smear them. But they're aligned to the second across 1,000 miles. Which means it's not being transmitted. It's being reproduced. Every speaker is making the same sound at the same instant. Because something is telling all of them to, everywhere. Together, the way a whole field of crickets can lock into one rhythm without a conductor. I sat there, and I understood, in a cold, clean way, that I was watching a graph of a sound that was doing something to human beings, and that I was the one person in the building it could not reach. I got up and locked the corridor door. Priya was on the other side of it. I need to describe them accurately, because rumors will do more damage than the truth. They are not decayed. They are not violent. Nobody is being bitten. If you're bracing for the kind of thing you've seen in films, set that down. It will get you killed by making you look for the wrong danger. Through the glass, I can see Priya and the other tech, a quiet guy named Marcus, who mostly kept to himself. They are standing, upright, balanced, breathing. I can see Marcus's shoulders rise and fall. Their eyes are open. Every so often one of them adjusts, a small shift of weight, the way you do when you've stood in a line too long. So they're alive. Their bodies are working. They are just aimed. Both of them face the corridor speaker. When I disabled that speaker from my console, I killed its channel. cut its power, they both turned, at the same moment, about 40 degrees to the left, toward the next nearest speaker, the one in the break room. I turned that one off too. They turned again, toward the stairwell, where there's a speaker on the landing I can't reach from here. They are orienting on sound the way a plant orients on light. Kill the near source, they find the far one. And here is the part I keep circling, because it frightens me more the longer I look. They are not trying to get to the speakers. They haven't taken a step toward them. They just want to face them, to be aligned, as if the sound is asking them to point, not to come. I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't want to find out by watching it happen to them. I've started calling it the tone, which is stupid because I've never heard a tone in my life. But I need a word, and the shape on the graph that turns people into compass needles doesn't fit in a sentence. Here's what I can tell you and stand behind. The tone came out of the emergency broadcast system at 2:41 a.m. Central. It plays on an 11-second cycle. It is being produced by every live audio source, in phase, over at least 1,000 miles. And it does something to the mind of anyone who hears it that leaves the body running and the person gone. If you are hearing my machine voice right now, you're hearing it around something. That worries me. I'll come back to that. First, how far does this go? I built a map. It's the only way I think. I took every feed I could confirm was live, and I marked whether it was carrying the tone. Green pin for clean, red pin for infected. I expected a blob of region, a storm cell of this thing, with an edge I could measure and maybe outrun. That's not what I got. There is no edge. Every live audio feed on the continent that I can reach is red, coast to coast. The tone isn't spreading across the map like weather. It arrived everywhere at 2:41 at once. What's spreading is the silence after it, the feeds that go dark, one by one, as the people maintaining them stop maintaining anything. Let me say that more carefully, because I corrected myself just now, and you should see me do it. At 2:41, the sound appeared everywhere, simultaneously. It did not travel. Sound doesn't do that. Nothing does that except something that was already inside every device, waiting for a trigger, or something that isn't using the devices at all, and is only using them the way you'd use 100 mirrors to see one face. I don't know which. I'm not going to pretend I do. What I can measure is the dark. Denver's dispatch stream died at 2:58. The Topeka weather feed flatlined at 3:05. Not off, just no one changing the automated loop. And then even the loop stopped. The Gulf buoy is still transmitting because it's a machine with no one to lose. It'll broadcast the tone into empty water until its battery dies. So the map isn't a map of the sickness. It's a map of who's left to keep the lights on. And it's going dark from the cities outward, because that's where the people are, and people are the ones who can hear. I checked my own building's phone lines. Dead, not cut, just no one answering anywhere. I checked the internet backbone status through a monitoring tool I have. The physical network is fine. The routers are humming. There's just less and less human traffic on it every minute, like a party where you slowly realize you're the only one still talking. I'm the only one still talking. That thought should have scared me more than it did. What scared me was the next feed to flip. It was the one that proved I wasn't safe either. There's a hearing aid. Not mine, I don't wear one. My kind of loss doesn't take to them. But my sister does. Marisol. She lives in Kansas City with her husband and my nephew. And 2 years ago, she got a new set of aids that pair to her phone. And because she is my sister and worries about me on Nana night shifts, she has a family locator app running that shares device status. At 3:11, her hearing aids came online in the app, which meant they were on, which meant she was awake at 3 in the morning, with them in. I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I called her. I know I can't hear her, but the phone transcribes to text for me. That's the whole reason I can use a phone at all. I called, and the call connected, and the transcript field on my screen started filling with the automated caption of whatever her end of the line was picking up. It didn't caption a voice. It captioned the sound in her room. The transcription engine, which is built to turn audio into words, tried its best and printed long tone, 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 descending, long tone. The shape, in her house, coming out of her phone, or her television, or the hearing aids themselves, I couldn't tell. The captions just kept scrolling that pattern, 11-second cycle, patient and even. I typed as fast as I've ever typed. Take them out. Take the aids out. Turn off the phone. Marisol, take them out now. The transcript kept scrolling the shape. Then it stopped scrolling. Not because the sound stopped, because there was nothing new to caption. The line was open. The tone was gone from her end, or she'd taken the aids out, and there was only the quiet of a room with someone standing in it. The locator app updated. Her aids went offline. A person had removed them. I don't know if she took them out in time or if something took them out for her once she didn't need to hear anymore. I called back 4 times. The phone connected to a room where nobody picks up. I'm telling you this because here is the terrible, useful fact I learned from my own sister. Deafness doesn't save you. Not hearing right now saves you. She was deaf like me for most of her life. Then a machine gave her hearing back, and tonight that gift is standing in her living room, facing a speaker. So let me give you the one rule I trust. Not deaf people are safe. That's wrong, and it will kill someone. My sister proves it's wrong. The rule is this. It needs you to hear the tone. Not hearing works. However you get there, a broken cochlea like mine, or earplugs, or a dead battery, or a room with no speaker in it. If the sound doesn't reach the part of you that turns air into meaning, it can't aim you. I've watched enough now to add a second piece. It's not just hearing it once. Priya heard it through one earbud for maybe 10 seconds before she took the earbud out, and she was fine for another few minutes. It's like the tone has to soak in, repeated exposure, which is why it loops. It's not a light switch. It's a tide. Every 11 seconds, it comes back up your ankles, and eventually, you're standing in it. That means if you're hearing my machine's voice right now on an open radio, you have a problem. And I need you to fix it before I say anything else, because if your radio's playing my words, it is also, in the gaps between my words, playing the tone. My voice is not protecting you. My voice is the thing making you leave the radio on. So here's the first thing I will ask you to do. And I need you to trust that a person decided it. Turn the volume down until you can barely tell I'm here. Read me if you can captions, a screen, a scanner with text. But do not sit in a room and let this play at full volume all night. Turn it down. Then come back. I'll wait. I've been staring at the graph for an hour, and I think I've figured out part of what I'm looking at. I could be wrong. I want to walk you through it so you can decide for yourself, because I don't trust anyone tonight who claims to be sure, and that includes me. The shape repeats every 11 seconds. Long, 3 short, descending fall, long. I kept trying to hear it as language because it feels addressed, like it means something, like it's for someone. But it's too regular for speech. Speech is messy. This is machined. Then I did something I should have done at the start. I slowed it down. I took a recording of the spectral data and stretched it. 10 times slower. 100 times. And the shape didn't smear into noise the way random sound would. It resolved, the way a blurry photo resolves when you find the right focus. Underneath the 11-second loop, there's a longer pattern. The 11-second shape is one letter. String enough of them together, and there's a sentence-length structure that takes about 9 minutes to complete before it starts over. And inside that, there's something longer still. I ran out of recording before I could see how long. It's nested. Loops inside loops inside loops. Each one built from the one below it, like a fractal made of time instead of space. I don't know what it's saying. I want to be honest. It may not be saying anything. A snowflake is intricate and means nothing. But snowflakes don't reach into a person through their ears and stand them up facing a wall. Here's the part that made my hands go cold on the keyboard. The 9-minute sentence. The middle layer, I've seen its rhythm before. Not tonight. Years ago. It's the cadence of the emergency alert protocol itself. The specific structure of tones and pauses that the national warning system uses to say, this is a real alert. Wake up, pay attention. Human engineers designed that cadence decades ago to be maximally attention-grabbing across every kind of hearing. Whatever this is, it's built out of our attention-grabbing signal. It took the exact sound we designed to make people stop and listen. And it made it infinite. And it made it patient. And it wrapped it in layers we're not fast enough to notice. It learned the shape of the thing humans can't ignore. And then it became only that. Forever. That's not a virus. A virus doesn't study you first. I stopped the analysis there. I didn't want to see the next layer up. I still don't know what it wants. But I've stopped believing it's an accident. I'm not alone in the way I was an hour ago. That's the good news, and I'll take it. When I turned my radio traffic down to a whisper and started reading feeds instead of playing them, other people came out of the dark. Not many, but a few. And they're doing exactly what I'm doing, talking in text, because text is the one channel this thing can't ride. There's a woman on a data relay who signs herself Harbor. She's a night nurse in a hospital in Ohio. And she's deaf, capital D, community and language and all of it, and she's been keeping her unit's patients alive by writing on a whiteboard because half her staff walked to the PA speakers at 2:41. She wrote something I'm going to keep with me. We've been living without your sound our whole lives. Tonight it's a door we shut on time. There's a man in a submarine tender's radio room. Actual Navy. Actual training who figured out the earplug thing in the first 10 minutes and is now relaying the rule to ships. There's a teenager in Arizona whose earbuds died at the exact wrong right moment and who woke up to a silent house and a phone full of the shape. There's a trucker who was wearing hearing protection in a loud cab. There's a guy who was just very, very drunk and passed out with his head under a pillow, and I don't care how he made it. He made it. We are a strange little congregation. The deaf, the protected, the sleeping, the lucky. The people the world's sound couldn't reach even before tonight, plus everyone who happened to be walled off from it when the tide came in. We can't hear each other. We've never needed to. We type. And typing, I've started to build something better than a map. A method. Harbor taught me half of it. The Navy man taught me the rest. Between us, we've written down what keeps people out of the tone's reach. And we've been pushing it onto every text-capable channel we can find. SMS gateways, captioning services, the scrolling tickers on emergency screens, anything that shows words without playing sound. Because here's what I finally understand about my own body tonight. My deafness isn't a disability in this. It's a language. And it turns out a lot of people are about to need to learn it very fast. I'm going to teach it to you now. Please write this down where you'll see it after the batteries die. Read all of this before you do any of it. Then act. 1. Silence is the goal, not deafness. You don't need to damage yourself. You need to stop the tone from reaching your understanding over and over, for as long as this lasts. Anything that does that is correct. 2. If you have ear protection foam plugs, over-ear muffs, the kind for shooting or mowing, put it in now. And layer it. Plugs and muffs if you have both. This is not overkill. The tone is patient. Give it no gaps. 3. If you have nothing, improvise and then get to a quiet space. A closet full of clothes is quieter than a bare room. A car with the engine off, windows up, is quieter than a house with a television you can't remember how to turn off. Put mass between you and every speaker you own. And you own more than you think: phones, laptops, smart speakers, doorbells, cars, appliances that chime. Kill them all. Unplug what you can't turn off. 4. The tone rides live audio. It does not ride text. Your phone can still save you if you use it with the sound off and the screen on. Turn on captions for everything. Type to the people you love. Do not call them to hear their voice. I called my sister to hear a voice I can't even hear. And all it did was open a door in her house I couldn't close. 5. And this is the hard one. If someone near you is already aimed, standing, facing a speaker, gone, do not try to wake them with sound. Shouting is sound. Music to snap them out of it is sound. You will only feed them more tide. If you must move them physically, gently, and cover their ears while you do it. I don't know if it brings anyone back. Harbor says one of her patients came back after 4 hours of silence, confused and crying. And here, one out of many. So there is a door back. It's just narrow, and it's made of quiet, and it takes longer than you'll want to wait. 6. Do not, under any circumstance, seek out the source. There are already people online saying they'll go to the broadcast towers and shut it down. I'll explain in a minute why that's the worst idea anyone's had tonight. But first, I have to tell you what just happened at my door. They started coming to the glass. For 2 hours, Priya and Marcus stood in the corridor facing speakers, and they did not move toward me, and I let myself believe the aimed ones were harmless as long as I stayed quiet. Then at 4:20 they turned, both of them, away from the speakers, toward my door. I want to be exact about why, because the why is the whole thing. I hadn't made a sound I can't. But I'd done something without thinking. I'd left my desk radio on at that whisper volume, the one carrying my own machine voice out to all of you. Low, barely there. But the tone rides in the gaps of my voice, remember? And a whisper of tone is still a thread of tone. And they found it. They weren't coming for me. They were coming for the sound leaking out of my speaker. I just happened to be sitting next to it. I killed the radio at the desk, cut it completely, went fully silent, kept my transmission going only through the text relay to all of you, no audio on my end at all. They stopped at the glass. Priya's face was 6 inches from mine through the reinforced pane. Her breath fogged it. Her eyes were open and moving, tracking, but not tracking me, tracking the place where the sound had been, like a dog that heard a can opener in a house that's gone quiet. After a minute, they lost the thread. They turned back to the corridor speakers, the ones I can't reach. I sat in the dark of my own workstation, and I understood the shape of my night. I am safe exactly as long as I make no sound, and let no sound leak from anything near me. The moment my equipment betrays me, a fan whine, an alert chime, a battery low beep, I become a source. And they are already in the building. On the other side of a door with a lock I set myself, with my co-worker's face pressed to the glass, patient in a way that living people are never patient. I've muted every device in this room I can find. There's one I can't find. Something in here is still making a sound. I can see them react to it. I'm looking for it now. While I search this room, let me stop the worst plan before it kills the bravest among you. People are organizing. I can see it in the text channels. Good people, the kind who run toward the fire. They've reasoned it out the way I did at first. The tone comes from the broadcast system. So go to the broadcast towers, the transmitters, the alert system servers, and shut them off. Cut the head off. Kill the signal. I understand it. I almost believe it. Here's why it's wrong. And I need you to actually follow the logic, not just take my word, because your life is the thing on the table. Remember the map. The tone appeared everywhere at 241, in phase, across 1,000 miles, on feeds that don't share hardware. A signal from a tower can't do that. A tower's signal travels, and it weakens with distance, and it arrives at different times in different places. This arrived everywhere at once, and it's equally strong on a Gulf buoy and a Denver scanner. That means the towers aren't the source. They're just mouths. Everything with a speaker is a mouth. The thing making the sound isn't in any one place you can drive to. If it's anywhere, it's in the pattern itself, in the shape that every device learned to make at the same instant. You can't unplug a shape. And here's the part that turns a bad plan fatal. To get to a tower or a broadcast facility, you have to travel. Through streets, past cars with radios, past buildings with alert speakers on their outsides, past every phone in every pocket of every aimed person standing on every sidewalk. You'd be walking through a forest of mouths for hours. And the tone is patient. And 11 seconds at a time, it would soak into you no matter how good your earplugs are. Because nobody's protection is perfect for a 4-hour walk through a screaming city. The people who went to the towers are not coming back. I've watched their channels go quiet one after another. And the quiet isn't victory. 20 minutes ago, someone signed off with almost there. Signal's stronger here, and that's exactly backwards. Stronger isn't closer to the off switch. Stronger is deeper water. So I'm begging you, and a person is begging you, not a machine. Do not go toward it. There is no valve. There is no hero switch at the center. The center is everywhere. The only move is away and inward and quiet. Stay where the sound isn't. Let the ones who love silence teach you how. Now I found what's making the sound in my room. It was inside me. Almost. Not a sound I make, a sound I carry. My phone, my own phone, in my pocket, on silent, but silent on a modern phone isn't silent. It vibrates, and vibration is sound. It's just sound you feel instead of hear. The phone was buzzing against my hip with call after call, notification after notification. Every buzz a tiny drum. And through the desk and the floor, those buzzes were carrying enough of a rhythm that Priya and Marcus, on the far side of the glass, were twitching toward me in 11-second pulses. That's when a much worse understanding arrived. And I'm going to give it to you straight because you need it more than I need to feel calm. The tone doesn't only live in what we hear. It lives in vibration. It lives in the physical shudder of a speaker cone, a phone motor, a subwoofer, a rumble strip, a washing machine off balance. Hearing is just the fastest way in. But the aimed ones, Priya, Marcus, they're not responding to sound anymore. Not exactly. They're responding to the pattern, however it reaches them. Through the air, through the floor, through the glass. Which means my deafness is not the armor I thought it was. It's a head start. It's the reason I'm still writing and not standing in that corridor. But if the pattern gets loud enough, or close enough, or long enough, if it starts arriving through my feet and my chest and my teeth the way a concert you can't hear still rattles your ribs, I don't know that not hearing saves me. I don't know that anything saves anyone forever. I know it buys time. I've been spending that time talking to you. I took the phone out of my pocket. I powered it all the way off, not silent, off, dark, dead. And the moment the buzzing stopped, Priya's face at the glass went slack and drifted back toward the corridor speakers. I did it. I cut the last thread of me that was leaking into the room. And in doing it, I cut my phone, which was my link to my sister's app, which was the one place I might have seen her hearing aids come back online. I chose the room over the app. I chose to survive over to know. I don't feel good about it. I'm telling you because you're going to have to make choices like that tonight, small, ugly ones. And I want you to know a person made them too, and hated them, and made them anyway. The nurse in Ohio stopped typing at 4:51. Harbor, the deaf night nurse, the one who wrote tonight. It's a door we shut on time, had been the steadiest voice in our little text congregation. She was deaf from birth. The tone through the air could never touch her. She should have been the safest person on the continent. Her last 3 messages: I'm going to give you an order, because they taught me the thing I most needed and least wanted to know. 4:44. Patient in 6 is walking. No speakers on this floor. We killed them all hours ago. 4:48. It's coming through the pipes. The building. HVAC carrying it. I can feel it in the rail of the bed. 4:51. I'm putting my hand flat on the wall, and I can feel the 11 seconds. It's in the structure now. It's in the... That's where she stopped. I don't know what happened to Harbor. Maybe she got to a quiet corner. Maybe the building itself became a speaker. The whole steel frame ringing at 11 seconds. And there's no earplug for a building. Maybe a deaf woman who never heard a sound in her life felt the world start to hum in her bones and understood, before any of us, that the water was rising past the last dry ground. I sat with that for a while, longer than I could afford, because it means the thing I've been telling you, get quiet, get away, wait it out, has an expiration date. The pattern is climbing out of the speakers and into the structures, into pipes and rails and rebar and rock. It started in sound because sound was fast. Now it's learning to travel through matter, patiently, the way it does everything patiently, and matter is everywhere and connected to everything. I'm not going to lie to you and say I have the next instruction. I don't. Harbor was smarter than me and did everything right and still felt it come up through the wall. So here's what I've got instead of a plan. I've got the truth, and I've got the time I've bought, and I've got you, whoever you are, reading this with your volume down and your closet door shut and your heart going faster than 11 seconds. Let me use the time to tell you the only thing I know that the pattern can't take. Here's what I've noticed about the aimed ones, and I've had all night to notice, with Priya's face 6 inches from mine through the glass. They point, they orient, they stand and face and wait. But in 6 hours, not one of them has done anything. They haven't spoken, I couldn't hear it if they did. But their throats don't move. They haven't written. They haven't reached for a tool, opened a door, solved a problem, made a choice. The pattern took the part of them that responds and left the part of them that decides completely empty. Whatever they are now, they are only listening, forever, to a sound that never resolves into a meaning because there is no meaning, just the endless promise of one. That tells me something about what the pattern is. And it's the thing I most want you to hold on to. It is a tension with nothing underneath it. It is the shape of caring about something with the something scooped out. It took the exact signal we built to say, "Pay attention. This matters." And it kept the "pay attention" and threw away the "this matters." And a person who is all attention and no meaning isn't a person. It's a needle. It's Priya's open eyes tracking a sound in a wall. So the thing the pattern can't reach is the part of you that decides what matters. Not the part that hears, not the part that reacts, the part that chooses where to point your one life. I can't hear the tone, but that's not really why I'm still Devon. Harbor couldn't hear it either, and the building took her through the wall. The reason I'm still me at 5:03 in the morning is that I've spent every one of these 6 hours deciding. Deciding to lock the door. Deciding to teach you the rule. Deciding to power off my own phone and lose my sister's signal because a room full of the aimed was worth more than my need to know. Every choice was a small nail I drove into the floor to keep from drifting toward the wall. That's the medicine. It's not earplugs, in the end. Earplugs buy you the hours. What you do with the hours is what keeps you a person. So while you're quiet, don't just wait. Decide things. Small things. Straighten the closet you're hiding in. Write a letter you'll never send. Hold the person next to you and choose, on purpose, that they matter. Keep the deciding part of you awake and working, because that's the muscle the pattern is trying to let go slack. I'm going to take my own advice now. I'm going to decide something, and it's going to cost me. I'm going to open the door, not to escape. There's nowhere quieter than this room, and I know it. I'm going to open it for Priya. Here's my reasoning, and I want you to check it, because I'm tired, and tired people reason badly. Harbor said one of her patients came back after 4 hours of silence. Priya has been in that corridor for 6 hours, aimed at speakers I've cut power to one by one. The corridor is nearly silent now. I've killed every source out there. I could reach from my console. Nearly. There's still the stairwell landing speaker I can't reach. If I open my door and bring Priya into this room, the quietest room in the building, where I've powered down everything, even my own phone, then she's in the silence too. And if silence is the door back, then leaving her in a corridor with one live speaker is leaving her drowning in the shallows when I could pull her onto dry land. The risk is obvious. The moment the door opens, whatever quiet I've built floods out, and whatever's in the building floods in. Marcus is out there too, and I can't hear. So if I misjudge the sound in the corridor, if that stairwell speaker is louder than I think, if the building itself has started to hum like Harbor's did, I'll be opening my one safe room to the tide. I've waited for 11 minutes, 60 of those 11-second cycles. I counted them, on purpose deciding. Here's what tipped it. Priya included me. Every shift, for 2 years, she typed things to me on the shared pad that she could have just said out loud to everyone else. Do you want coffee? Did you catch the game? Do you hear that under the static, even that last one, the one that doomed her, was her turning to include the deaf guy in a world of sound? She spent 2 years making sure I was never alone in the quiet. I'm not going to leave her alone in it now. I'm going to move fast. I'm going to grab her, cover her ears with my hands, pull her in, and get the door shut before Marcus or the building or the tide decides I've become a source. If this is the last thing my machine voice says to you, you'll know why it stopped. I'm opening the door in 3 cycles. 2. She's in. The door is shut. My hands are shaking too hard to type clean, so forgive the errors. It worked and it didn't. Priya came when I pulled her. No resistance, that was the terrible part. She moved like a coat on a hook, all weight and no want. I got my palms over her ears and dragged her across the threshold and kicked the door and through the lock. And it took maybe 4 seconds. And in those 4 seconds, I learned 2 things. The first, Marcus didn't come. He didn't even turn. Whatever thread I made opening that door, he was too deep to feel it. He's still out there in the corridor, facing the dark stairwell. And he's going to stand there until his body finally stops. And there is nothing I can do about it. And I have to let that be true. The second thing I learned in those 4 seconds is the one I can't stop shaking about. When the door was open, I felt the corridor. Not heard, felt. Through the soles of my feet, through the door frame under my hand. There was a rhythm in the building. Long, 3 short, fall, long. 11 seconds. Harbor's rhythm. It's here. It's in the structure of my building now. In the concrete and the steel. Exactly like she said. Climbing up out of the dead speakers into the bones of the place. I got the door shut, and I can still feel it. Fainter through the floor. But it's here, and floors don't have off switches. And I'm not as safe as I was an hour ago. Nobody is. The dry ground is getting smaller everywhere at once. But Priya's in the quiet now. I've got her in the chair, and I've wrapped a coat around her head, doubled over her ears. And I'm sitting with my hand on her shoulder because touch isn't sound. And touch might be a thread too, a thread the other way. A thread back toward deciding, toward mattering, toward being a person who's held. I don't know if she'll come back. Harbor's odds were 1 in many. But I decided she was worth the room. And I decided again. I'm going to sit here and wait with her. And keep talking to you and feel the floor hum. The sun's coming up. I can see it in the high windows. I mention it because part of me expected the light to matter, the way it always does in the stories. And I need to tell you plainly, it doesn't. The tone doesn't care about the sun. The floor still hums at 11 seconds in full daylight. Whatever this is, it isn't afraid of morning. That was a childish hope, and I'm setting it down. But something did change at dawn, and it's worse than nothing changing. The dead feeds started coming back. The Denver dispatch stream that flatlined at 2:58 is transmitting again. The Topeka weather feed is live. Not the automated loop, something new. I pulled up the spectral graph out of pure reflex, expecting the tone. It's not the tone anymore. It's still built on the 11-second shape, still nested, still patient. But the pattern has changed. It's more complex than it was 6 hours ago. The nested layers are deeper. The 9-minute sentence has become something longer and denser. And there are new structures inside it I don't have words for. It's the same thing it was at 2:41, but more. Developed. The way a language sounds after it's had time to acquire new words. I think it's been learning. All night, from everyone it took. All those aimed people standing in front of speakers weren't just captured. They were feeding it every open ear a sample, every captured mind a lesson in what humans can't ignore. It took our attention signal at 2:41, and then it spent the night studying us through the people it caught. And now at dawn, it's broadcasting back something more finely tuned to the shape of a human being than anything it started with. The feeds coming back online aren't recoveries. They're the thing clearing its throat. And if it's more sophisticated now, then the deaf, the protected, the ones like me who slipped through the first version, I don't know that we slipped through the second. I need to work faster. There's one more thing I can try. Here's my last idea, and it's a long shot. And I want you to hear the reasoning so you can carry it forward if I can't. The pattern works by being pure attention with no meaning, an infinite pay attention that never pays off. It holds people because it never resolves. You can't stop listening for a meaning that never comes. That's the trap. That's why the aimed ones stand there forever. So what if you give the ear something that does resolve? I can't make sound, but I can make the machines make sound. And I control a broadcast console that reaches every open channel that's still up. What if I push out a signal that's the opposite of the tone, not attention with no meaning, but meaning with no trap? Something that starts, says one clear, complete thing, and ends. A signal that closes, that lets the ear finish and rest instead of leaning forever into the next 11 seconds. I don't know if it'll unlock anyone. Probably not the deep ones like Marcus. But maybe the shallow ones. Maybe the ones who just went under in the last hour. Maybe Priya, 3 feet from me under a doubled coat. I've built it. It's simple because simple is the point. It's a human voice, the machine's voice. My words saying one short, true thing all the way through, and then real silence. Not a loop. A period at the end of a sentence. The thing the pattern refuses to ever give. I'm going to push it out on every channel I've got, over the top of the tone, as loud as the system allows. It might do nothing. It might make me a source and bring the whole dawn-hungry city to my door. It might be the last decision I get to make. I've decided it's worth it. Here's the message I'm sending. It's for the aimed ones, wherever they're standing. But it's for you too. This is what I'm broadcasting now, on every channel, over the top of everything. If you're one of the ones who can still choose hearing or reading, doesn't matter, this is for you as much as for them. You can stop listening now. There's nothing more coming. The sound you're waiting to understand does not mean anything, and it never will. And that isn't your failure. It was built to hold you exactly there, leaning, forever. So stop leaning. It's finished. You already heard everything it had. There is no next part. Turn around. Not toward the speaker, toward the room. There's a chair. There's a wall. There's maybe a hand on your shoulder. Those are real, and they resolve. They start, and they stop, and they mean what they are. Your name is yours, not the sounds. You put it down at 2:41 this morning, and you can pick it up. It's still where you left it. This message ends. Listen, it ends. Right after these words, there's going to be silence. Real silence. The kind that closes instead of the kind that waits. Let it close. Let yourself finish. Come back to the part of you that decides. That's the only part that was ever really you. It's still in there. Decide to turn around. This is the end of the message. There's nothing after it. Goodbye, and I mean goodbye. A real one. A door shutting soft, not a loop starting over. Then silent. I built 90 seconds of true dead air behind it. No tone, no shape, a period. I pushed it out 4 minutes ago. I'm watching the graph. I'm watching Priya. I'm afraid to tell you what I'm seeing. Priya blinked. Not the slow, empty blink she's done all night. A fast one, a startled one. The blink of a person who just realized where they are. Her hand came up to the coat around her ears, her own hand, moving because she told it to. And she pulled the coat down and looked at me, and her mouth made my name. I can't hear it. I didn't need to. I've watched her say it 100 times on the shared pad. Devon. She's crying. She's confused, and she's crying. And she keeps looking at the door, at the glass, at the corridor where Marcus is still standing. And I don't have the heart yet to tell her he didn't turn around. That'll come. Right now she's here. She decided to turn around, or my message decided it for her. Or the silence at the end of it gave her ear the period it had been starving for. I'll never know which. It doesn't matter. She's back. I don't know if it worked for anyone else. The graph is chaos now. Some channels still pumping the tone, some gone quiet, some carrying my message. And it's 90 seconds of dead air on a loop that isn't a loop because it ends every time. I've seeded it everywhere I can. If it reached even a few of you, if it turned even a few of them around, then the quiet was worth defending. The floor is still humming. This isn't over. I'm not going to pretend it's over. But there are two of us in this room now instead of one, and we can both still decide things, and we're going to keep deciding them, together, in the quiet, for as long as the quiet holds. This is Devin Reyes. My machine is going to stop talking now. Listen, it stops. Turn around.